the fantastically true story of Herbert A. Philbrick, who for 9 frightening years did lead 3 lives. Average citizen, member of the Communist Party, and counter-spy for the Federal Bureau of Investigation. For obvious reasons, the names, dates, and places have been changed, but the story is based on fact. Communism reaches into the most unlikely places, obtains recruits among the privileged as well as the underprivileged. This is the story of a misled girl whose emotional rebellion led her to plot betrayal of her country. Gosh, I don't know, Paul. I think the whole thing could be sparked up with some brighter colors. How about a splash of that good old advertising orange right across here? You know, Paul. Paul.
Oh, excuse me, Herb. I wasn't quite following you.
Something on your mind?
Well, yes.
Work going badly?
No, it's nothing that... Look, Herb, I'm afraid the girl I want to marry is a communist. I don't blame you for being surprised. When I figured her out, I couldn't believe it.
Communists are kind of a closed book to me. How do you tell one?
Reactions, mostly. It's not only what they say about politics. Lots of radicals talk like communists and aren't. It's their human reactions. They're sick in the head or something.
Are you sure about this?
Margaret Kinston. No, I'm not.
Gosh, Paul, I'm sorry.
Good of you to listen. It's driving me crazy. Lately, I've even avoided talking about subjects that might offend her. And that's no good. We can't talk about art the rest of our lives. She's a student in my advanced amateur class at the school. That's my headache.
Look, have you asked her about this?
Gosh, no. She wouldn't admit it if I did. You certainly don't know anything about commies. Well, let me have a minute here. I think I see what's wrong. Pick up the color down to here. Is that what you wanted?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll fix them for you this afternoon. You ought to paint as a hobby, Herb. You've got the feel for it. Come over to the school sometime and see what the amateurs are doing. Most of them are pretty good.
Yeah, I'll do that.
So long.
Is he up to something? Nice boy, but he could be a communist, and this could be a trap, Philbrick. There's Special Agent Jerry Dressler, but he's signaling you not to make contact. Must be some mistake.
Not at all. Your name is Herbert Philbrick.
What's this comrade business? I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, don't worry about that. Just call me Comrade Blank. By the way, how well do you know this Paul Murray? Come. You know he was at your office this morning.
What's that to you?
Cultivate him. Visit the art school where he teaches. Someone else will contact you there. Goodbye, Comrade Herb.
Mister? Yeah. This wind, I'm afraid it won't do much good.
Thanks.
Who is that character?
We're not sure. Blank is a good name for him. The Bureau in Washington sent word to us to keep an eye on him when he showed up. And he's been out here tailing a friend of yours by the name of Paul Murray.
Oh? That's very interesting. Murray just told me he thinks his girl is a communist.
Not Margaret Kinston.
Yeah, do you know her?
Oh, yes. Who is she? She's only the daughter of Lillian Kinston, who runs Kinston Associates, Industrial Architects. Her father was Ernest Kinston, died 10 years ago.
Yeah, didn't he do some work for the government?
Right now, we're rechecking the office force. Their latest job is a supersonic wind tunnel to test model-guided missiles. It very well revealed the trend of this country's experimentation in the wrong hands.
Yeah?
Another angle is that Mrs. Kinston reported your friend Murray to us as a communist suspect.
Begins to figure.
Can you keep on this for us, Herb?
Sure, I was going to anyway. I'll drop around the art school and see what I can pick up.
What's wrong with it?
Doesn't mean anything. It isn't you.
What do you want me to do? Still lifes like Vivian and scenery like Lucas?
Nobody should have to tell you what to do.
Suppose you want me to paint the refinery Mother's building.
You could do worse.
I got enough of it drawing the plans in the office.
Well, didn't you see any poetry in it? Any beauty?
All I saw was the airplane fuel it turns out for war. And the time it'll be bombed and burned.
Score one for the little lady.
Hello, Harold.
Hello, Simmons. Herb, I didn't see you. Why didn't you interrupt?
Well, I didn't think I should right at that point.
Don't mind us. We always fight like this.
Miss Kinston, Mr. Philbrick.
How do you do?
Mr. Simmons.
Interested in paintings? I know more about them than he does. I sell them.
It's a wonder he makes a living at it.
Gee, this has wallop.
I'm not going to work on it now. Paul likes this one better, don't you, darling? Paul likes things to have meaning, and this does, even though it's just a design. This is the ribbon my dog won at a dog show the day before he was run over. I got these stars for perfect attendance in Sunday school. My father and I used to play bingo with these cards when I was a little girl.
It's a good design, Margaret.
I should like to have it for my gallery.
You shall, and several others if you'd like them. Harold is my only admirer.
You must come and see it when it's framed.
Oh.
Did you ever see a collage painting before, Herb? Collage is old-fashioned, but we moderns go in for it when we want to puzzle people. They take little pieces like these. Well, they should be pieces of your heart.
Margaret, please.
Who are you, Herb? I know you're a friend of Paul's. I wouldn't be talking like this. But you're thinking something else all the time.
No,
He's the advertising man I do layouts for.
Oh, the man who corrupts commercial artists with money. Do you know what you've done to Paul? You've made him unable to understand my genius.
I think Herb has got something on his mind, Margaret. Oh, I finished your stuff, Herb. Were you in a hurry for it?
Oh, no. I just dropped by. Of course, if it's finished, I could
I'll
take...
get them for you. Come, help me, will you, Margaret?
Yes, Maestro.
Bring it to the gallery in the morning, Virginia. I'll give you 25 for it. If I sell it for over 50, I'll split the difference.
Play it cagey with Comrade Art Dealer Philbrick. Don't let anyone know you're both party members and both interested in Margaret Kinston and her work. Strange thing she's put together here. What's it mean? Well, if Comrade Art Dealer is the contact that odd little fat man promised you, maybe you'll find out.
Sure, I want you to do something. Listen to what's going on in there. Come over to the gallery and let me know what you hear.
Don't bawl me out, darling.
I'm not bawling you out. I'd just like to know why you're so upset lately.
I'll work it out. It won't be long now, one way or the other.
Trouble with your mother?
Oh, she's no worse than usual. Paul, why do you bother with these pitiful things?
They're honest. Done to sell merchandise, to make money.
Wasting your time with this junk and teaching. You could be great, darling. And you haven't even touched this in weeks.
I've been worried about you.
How much do you love me, Paul?
As much as I know how to. Margaret, let's get married. I've saved a little. Enough to keep us someplace where things are cheap. I'll do the work I want, and you do what you want.
I can't.
Why not?
Margaret, would you tell Paul I had to leave? Tell him that... Oh, there you are, Paul.
Leaving?
Yeah, I've got to. I'd like to come back, though. It was nice meeting you, Margaret.
Me too.
I'll make it more interesting for you next time. Things aren't always like this around here. Here's your stuff.
All right, thanks. I'll be seeing you.
What did you find out?
They're in love.
I knew that.
Well, tell me some other things you know. What's my part in this?
You haven't been briefed?
No.
Well, I can't say much. The girl is a very secret party member. She's in a position to obtain certain information. I've taught her microfilming, but she isn't turning the stuff over.
Why not?
Says the pictures don't make sense unless they're all together. She hasn't got them all yet.
Sounds like she might need some discipline.
Well, we can't push her. The situation is too delicate.
I see what you mean. And it's your neck.
Blunt way of putting it.
You certainly have a way of dropping in from nowhere.
I find it very useful. I'd like to remark that it's your neck, too, Comrade Herb, if we don't get results.
I still don't know you. You threatening me?
Yes.
This is Comrade Blank.
Yes, be quiet. The trouble with Comrade Margaret seems to date back to the beginning of her romance. Break it up.
Any idea how?
You know Murray. He's your friend. Take care of it, comrade.
So I got a little sassy with Comrade Blank, trying to find out who he is.
I wouldn't do it again. He's important. Heads up one of the espionage rings.
They must really want that microfilm Margaret's been taking for them. Got any suggestions for me?
Just keep listening. Phone us if anything happens.
And meanwhile, play counter Cupid to those two lovers. This is the craziest assignment I ever had from the party.
But it might be vital, Herb. We've got to get that microfilm.
So long.
Goodbye.
There it is, Paul, my future. How do you like it?
It's a good design. But you can do better with your future than that.
Harold expects to get 500 for it. Don't you think he can?
I've told you Simmons is a phony. He's kidding you.
Everyone's a phony who disagrees with you. It's worth a great deal, more than you know.
Mr. Philbrick, may I see you for a moment?
Now listen, Margaret, I don't want to fight with you over a silly thing like this.
Silly. Why, you've belittled my talent ever since the first day I walked.
Blank says if you can't get rid of Murray any other way, frame him.
It's easy to say. I've been trying to figure out how.
Otherwise, the girl will have to be argued into obedience, scared into it, anything.
Whose job is that?
Maybe yours. We'll find out.
That's enough. That's all I'm going to take from you.
Well, how did you make that happen? Or did you? Now go with Murray and keep them apart.
Mrs. Kinston, we have no indication that Paul Murray is a communist. So far as we know, we have no information to lead us to believe that he ever has been. I'm sorry, Mrs. Kinston, but that's the sum of our finding.
Then how did Margaret acquire these outrageous opinions she's expressed since she met him?
Perhaps they're her own ideas, Mrs. Kinston.
Perhaps they came out under tension.
That's a lie.
We've checked very carefully, Mrs. Kinston. Do you ever see these before?
Where did you get these?
I'm not permitted to tell you.
They're forgeries.
They're not forgeries, Mrs. Kinston. Those are photostats of actual Communist Party records.
I guess underneath everything I've been afraid.
Has she had access to classified material?
She's been assembling the theoretical designs we were given for the construction. Until last week, I never dreamed I just didn't wait to have her cleared.
Go on, Mrs. Kinston.
She's seen all the designs we were going to use. Every single one of them.
Do you know whether she's photographed them?
What?
Microfilming is a fairly common way of stealing designs of this kind, Mrs. Kinston. And a very serious offense.
Mr. Dressler, I insist on dealing with my own flesh and blood. If Margaret has the film, I'll get it from her.
That's a job for the FBI, Mrs. Kinston, not for you.
Forbes, has Miss Kinston come back from lunch yet? Bring me the reject file on Project M. The designs we decided not to use. I'm going to set a trap for her. Margaret, give me that camera. Now, get me the other pictures you've taken with it.
How did you find out?
I suspected. I checked with the FBI. You're a communist. You're a spy.
You might call it that.
How can you stand there and admit it? Margaret, what's made you this way?
You did, Mother. You and your friends taught me what capitalists are like. Cold and greedy. Daddy was different, but he died. I don't know whether it was because you drove him as you've tried to drive me, but I'm not going to die. I'm fighting back.
Margaret, what are you saying?
I'm telling you the truth, Mother, for the first time. It's hard to take, isn't it?
You're insane.
You are, for power over people, over me. Well, you kept me a prisoner. Even here, I've had to work in a back room with a trick lock.
It was necessary for security.
I've fixed your security.
Margaret, get me that microfilm.
If I don't?
I'll turn you over to the FBI.
Find it in the closet, in the top drawer of the cabinet. You won't find it there. You shouldn't have left your key in the door, Mother.
Margaret! Margaret! Margaret!
You may do a dozen of these sketches before you get your painting worked out. Then we lay it in with charcoal on the canvas.
How's that?
That's right. Get freed a minute.
Paul, I've got to talk to you.
Excuse me, Herb.
Paul, I'm sorry about this noon, but I was trying to pick a quarrel with you. Darling, let's go away together right now.
What changed your mind?
I had a fight with Mother.
Is that all? Aren't you in trouble, Margaret?
What do you mean?
I mean communist trouble. What have you done? I've seen this coming, sweet, and I'm with you. I'll battle to the end for you, but I won't run with you. Is it the FBI? Then you've got to go to them. I'll go with you. Wait, I'll get my coat. She's in a jam with the FBI. I'm taking her into them.
Is there anything I can do?
I don't think so. She's gone. Now there's nothing anyone can do now. Well, at least she's in no actual danger. Not in this country.
I'm sorry, Paul. Well, I'll be running along.
I'll be seeing you.
Maybe he doesn't think there's danger. Get word to Jerry Dressler, and fast.
I see. Well, thanks, Herb. Will you say Margaret saw you in the classroom?
Sure.
Well, then you'd better cover yourself with Simmons. If she checks in with him, she may mention you, so you'll have to report.
Right.
See you later.
What happened here?
Well, she told me she had the film ready and then shut up like a clam. I made an excuse to go in the back room for Blank. He was there, but by the time I told him what had happened, she'd done this and gone.
Well, it was hers.
Well, don't you see? She had the film hidden on the picture.
Well, you didn't guess it any too soon, did you? Where is Blank?
He's gone after her. Obviously, she's a traitor. Yes? Yes. Yes, I'll be right there. He's found her. She's sitting in a restaurant, brooding. He wants me. Lock the door when you go out.
Good luck. Call the FBI, Philbrick. That's all you can do now. The restaurant can't be far away. You can tell them in code to look for a tall, mustached man and a short, fat one, who are themselves looking for a pretty young girl carrying secret films.
She's been in there about 45 minutes. She ought to be out there by now.
X-72, Roger. Tell contact to report to school and advise us of any development there. Out. Okay, Ralph, straight ahead and fast.
The FBI won't be alone in this hunt. A call for assistance to the local police department will throw them into action, too. Their dispatchers will throw every available vehicle into a search that has to pay off.
I'll take the fading. Wait a minute. Wait till she gets somewhere where we won't attract attention.
Dressler, FBI. Sorry if you were frightened this instant, but we had to wait until we were sure of these two fellas. You come with me. I'll take you to your mother.
Here you are, Mother, the films you wanted. Each little picture separate, wrapped in a separate little envelope, numbered in the right order. They're the negatives, too. I didn't make any prints. Mr. Dressler says he's satisfied. By the way, who let you out of my office?
Forbes. He always worries unless I'm shouting at him every 5 minutes.
I'm glad you weren't cooped up for long.
Margaret. I think we ought to have a talk.
I think we all ought to have a talk. You and Paul and I.
Oh, I was just leaving. All right, you've got better things to do. How long has Paul been in on this plot?
He just came in to see us yesterday. And I did want you to see this happy ending. Worked out all right, didn't it?
It sure did. Cupid. Margaret Kinston returned to the two people who loved her, not only safe and sound, but cured of her communist infection, a real dividend for her mother and for Paul. Next week, another story of communist activities from the files of Herbert A. Philbrick, counter-spy, a man who for 9 years posed as a member of the Communist Party.